city. Westbound 70 is thinned out past Adelaide, where he had a recently cleared crash. It's slow from the city limits out through Jennings Station. Out west, just A to Z is the only heavy stuff after that. Westbound 64 Kings Highway, headed out to about Big Bend's, backed up west of Lindbergh to 270, slow. A couple of spots from Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 where it's busy. South 270 bogs down from Olive down to Clayton Road. After that, looks like a good run to 55. 55, the usual Gasconade debates, but it's good down in Jefferson County for you. Next update at 520 from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Monday on the Redbird Rush Hour. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here on KMOX. Chose a little Lincoln Park today, one step closer to the edge for all Cardinals fans.
Well done. Well done.
We're going to get into all this. We're going to get into Fetty Miklasz. We're going to get into J.J. Weatherholt getting his promotion to AAA Memphis and all the different places that goes. But isn't this bizarre? We touched on this today, Bernie, with Dave on DGS. Is this bizarre that the team is 5 games over 500. They're a game out of a wild card spot, yet it feels like it does. It does not feel good right now.
Yeah, and I think there's two things to that. I mean, if we're going to be totally honest with ourselves, the reason they're one game out of the third wild card has a heck of a lot to do with the teams they're involved with stumbling around just as bad as the Cardinals.
Yes.
But the second thing is that a loss is a loss is a loss. You know, it doesn't matter if you lose 7-0 or 1-0. It all counts the same. But the recent trends with the Cardinals are really kind of disturbing with the collapse of the rotation and the fact that the offense just has way too many no-shows. So it does feel worse than it maybe is. That's the whole thing about this all or nada offense. It's just they when they're bad, they are incredibly bad. When they're good, it's maybe a little bit misleading. Maybe it's a little fantasy baseball, if you will.
Yeah, to your point, Bernie, about the competition, I'm just looking at it now. The non-first place teams in the National League right now, the only ones with a winning record in the last 10 games are the Brewers, the Marlins, and the Pirates. Every other team that's not in first place in the National League is either 500 or worse in the last 10 days. So that's exactly what you're talking about, Brent. That's how you're hanging in there.
And go ahead. And the wild card contenders, Milwaukee's the only team winning consistently.
Right.
They've got the National League's best record since June 1st.
Yeah.
So they're a really good team.
I keep bringing this. Matt. No, you're fine. I keep bringing this up. Something that's startling too is because we saw this team not score a single run when they got swept by the Pirates. And we'll all say, oh, well, the Pirates are playing their best baseball of the year. What happens? Light switch. The Pirates go to Seattle. Not only do they lose 3 in a row to the Mariners, they don't score a single run. I openly wonder,
bizarre.
Is this the first time in Major League history where a team plays a 3-game series, sweeps their opponent in all shutouts, and then goes and plays a three-game series and gets swept? That doesn't happen. It happens this year.
That is a record. That is a Major League record. It's never happened before until then.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And I'm going to flash this on the screen from Walt. 6 shutouts in the last 11 games for the Cardinals offense, and we're talking about how bad the starting pitching is. Yes, because the starting pitching has been just as bad as that, especially 2 guys. They're really 2 guys tearing it all down. And I sent this to you late last night, Matt, and I mentioned it with us, Bernie, today on DGS. Miles Miklasz has a 7.39 ERA since June 1st. Eric Fetty is a 6.5 since June 1st. And we're just talking about non-competitive starts where your team is done in the first or second inning because those guys are not getting the job done. And Chicago looks bad. This isn't the first bad start. In fact, if I look at their game log, they've each made about 18 starts. I'd argue maybe a third of their starts are good. And I'm not talking about quality starts because neither one of them has almost any of those because they're not getting 6 innings with 3 runs or less most of the time. I would say maybe 1/3 of those starts are adequate. That's not good enough. Half's not good enough.
It's pretty bad. I just to maybe update our friend Walt Mosby for that comment he made. Six shutouts the last 11 games. We're talking about how bad starting pitching is. Actually, my good friend Walt Mosby, we're talking about both things because they're both bad. Okay, the Cardinals starting pitching since May the 20th ranks 27th among 30 teams in Major League starting pitching ERA. Oh, I kind of think that that's a problem. Okay. I kind of think that that's a problem.
Both of
them
are.
And we all know about all the shutouts. Okay. The Cardinals have already been shut out 9 times this year. They only got shut out 6 times all of last year. In their last 15 losses, the Cardinals have scored 2 runs or fewer in 15 of the 19 losses.
Yeah.
So Walt, love you. Thank you. But I think we're on it.
Yeah, it's both. But I'll tell you, this is where my frustration is, Matt. There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing they can do to make the offense better right now. One of your best guys is out. Other guys are dinged up. You're not a great lineup anyway. There's nobody at Memphis you're going to call up to make it better. You have an option to be better with the rotation, or at least potentially better with McGreevy sitting there. And you can try different things. You can try an opener. I'm sorry, I've been beating this horse for a week and a half now. But you have things you can try in the rotation you're not trying. There's only so much you can do with this lineup of the players you have available to you at the moment.
Yeah, and look, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. I get stuff wrong all the time. But I've got a lot more confidence that as guys get healthy and as guys kind of come out of slumps, that the offense, the hitting, it's going to come around a little bit at some point in time. I don't feel that way about Miles Miklasz, and I don't feel that way about Eric Fetty. So
right.
I am more concerned about the things that I see less of a chance of getting fixed.
And let me throw this in here. Numbers nerd. Here I go again. But more, one thing that can help, and I sound like I'm being a smart aleck, and I'm not trying to. One thing that can help is their best hitters start being their best hitters again.
Yeah.
In their last 7 losses to the Pirates and the Cubs, the Cardinals got a 124 batting average and 3 RBIs from this group of hitters, their combined stats. Brendan Donovan, Alec Bertelson, Lars Nootbaar, Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, Thomas Ajayci, Victor Scott, Pedro Pajes, Nolan Arenado, and Wilson Contreras. And yeah, we know that Arenado and Contreras were banged up. And we know that they don't have Herrera. But if they don't have Herrera, does that really justify this group of players hitting 124?
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. So it's a bad situation. And the problem is your pitching was a team strength. Your starting pitching was a team strength for a while.
Yeah.
And they could kind of cover for an offense that was shooting a lot of blanks. But that all started to turn in late May, and anybody who's actually paid attention knows that. I was happy to praise the Cardinals starting pitching because it was doing a really good job for the first about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom. There's only one guy since May 20th. There's one starting pitcher, Sonny Gray, that's got an ERA under 4.
Yeah.
And which means that the whole thing is kind of soured. And by the way, it's baseball. They play 162. Just a reminder, it's not the NFL. And so a Cardinals starting rotation and pitching staff that's low on strikeouts is going to have these wild fluctuations. The ball's in play too much, right?
Yeah. Yep, you're at the mercy of some batted ball luck, and by the way, I don't really mean like they're lucky to get it. I just mean when the ball's in play, things can happen. When guys are swinging and missing, nothing's happening. They're going back to the dugout. Right. I mean, that's what's happening.
And Kevin, you and I talked about this the other day, and the thing that I'll repeat this just because I don't understand. This organization makes decisions based in fear. So as they sit here and don't move on from Miklasz, and it's seemingly taking them a while to move on from Fetty, they're afraid about not having enough starting pitching depth. So let's play out worst possible scenario. You move on from Miklasz, you move on from Fetty. McGreevy into the rotation, Matt's into the rotation. Somebody gets hurt. Well, there's a guy at AAA, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's God's gift to baseball, but Curtis Taylor this year at AAA, 19 games, 12 starts, 3.03 ERA. You're telling me that Curtis Taylor, who none of us have heard of, can't do what Miles Miklasz and Eric Fetty have done. So that's
Matt, every one of us three can do what Miklasz has done the last 3 years.
That's the worst.
Go get lit up.
The worst possible scenario is you call up a guy who's having a good season at AAA.
And he fails like the guys are. Yeah.
But you're holding on to these spots for a couple guys who aren't performing. So that's the thing that I have a hard time grasping.
Yeah,
that's a great point, Matt Pauley.
Yes, and I'll say this, and this we'll continue this conversation after we get after a break. But there was sense in this strategy when the season started, keeping your depth, not giving away innings, things like that. It's July. You only got 3 more months to worry about. Mm-hmm. So worry more about performance and less about insurance.
Yeah, I was fine with the depth thing and having McGreevy at AAA and making sure that you were covered for injuries and popping into the 6-man rotation.
Me too.
Like, fine. Totally fine. Good. Congratulations to the Cardinals for keeping starting pitching healthy and preserving as much depth as you have. That no longer is the most important thing. We've moved to a different part of the season now.
Yeah, that was 91 games ago. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on the Redbird Rush Hour. We're going to have more on the pitching side of things, more on the lineup, more on J.J. Weatherholt moving up to Memphis. A lot of cool things to talk about, and we're going to get some of your thoughts in as well here on KMOX.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary. Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. You know, it's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turf.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel and eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge to look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to Picturesque, Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Jerry Kelly swings next-day installs no matter how late you call. And because they work later every day, they're faster when your equipment just needs fixing, too.
That's MVP material.
Yep, simple fix or a full install, nobody gets you comfortable faster.
JerryKelly.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, this traffic reports a service of Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, and Electrical. We're making headway on this crash eastbound 44 east to Antire. The 2 left lanes are open now, but traffic's jammed back to the Merrimack east of 109, so miles of traffic backed up there. And westbound Gawkers are backed up almost back to Soccer Park Road, so it's pretty tough going both ways, but the lane restrictions, the one lane is still restricted is on the eastbound side, obviously. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland's backed up. It's slow, Lindbergh to 270, and from 364 out to 70, kind of busy. Westbound 70 doesn't really look that bad most of the way out. It's a little busy right through the AZ area in Wentzville. Southbound 270, both sides of Olive, slow. Clayton Road through Manchester. After that, it's good to go down to 55. Southbound 55, just south of Gasconade to Bates, a little bit busy. Downtown, we look good into Illinois. Southbound 170 is just kind of slow from the Parkway to 64, north 170, north of the Rock Road up to 70, busy. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, it's Redbird Rush Hour. Matt Pauley, Bernie Miklasz, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you till roughly 6 o'clock tonight, and then Matt's got Sports Open Line coming up from 6 until 8. A lot to do with the Cardinals.
Bernie, by the way.
Yeah. Oh,
Bernie's
Bernie's again
at 6:20.
tonight.
Yep.
Man, Bernie, you got the triple header today.
I'm everywhere. I love it. You got to keep my ailing mind busy. You got to keep my mind from just like shorting out entirely.
Now, listen, we could say what we don't like about the current setup for the Cardinals and the way things are going, but there's a lot to talk about. There's no shortage of conversations to have about what's going on, where it could go. The draft is in a few days. We'll be reacting to that. The trade deadline is, 4 weeks away. That's going to be fascinating. Although I'm going to expect nothing one way or the other. Just kind of, I would expect a hold serve. Just kind of that's how it goes. But I want to ask you guys. I've thrown out the ideas a million times. I don't have to repeat them, but I'm curious. Like, you guys are making the call. What's happening with this next time through the rotation?
Go ahead, Matt.
I'm not completely moving on from Fetty from the organization because I think he actually has still some upside, and you try to work through that, whether it's in the bullpen or find an injury. But he's not making his next start. I think we all know, based off what Ali even said last night, Eric Fetty's not making his next start. I'm ready to just see the team move on from Miles Michaelis. I'm not sure if they're actually going to do that, but I think this team is better if they go to McGreevy and Matz in the rotation. It's going to take Matz probably 2 or 3 starts to ramp back up. That's going to be an issue. But it's a lot easier to find a replacement piece for Matz in the bullpen than it is to find a starter to go into the rotation. So I go that direction.
Matt, I agree with you. I mean, I'll be perfectly blunt here. There's no reason to be a phony. Michaelis, that should have been his last start in a Cardinal uniform because he's been a bottom 5 major league starting pitcher in all the relevant categories since the start of 2023. So there's nothing more to learn about him.
That's right.
There's no way there will be any kind of sustained improvement. What else do they need to see? And as we've all pointed out, oh, by the way, his salary for this year is already paid for. It's money already spent. So what is the motivation for keeping him around? I simply don't see it. I agree, Matt, totally with you that, they should move on from Michaelis, but we know that Papa Mo's not going to do that. But in terms of Fetty, yeah, we're going to see McGreevy make a start before the All-Star break, but what are they going to do after the All-Star break?
Man.
Are they going to say, well, we got a new plan for him to work on some things? We'll have him work on some things in the bullpen. He doesn't have to be in the rotation. If McGreevy's next start, especially, is a solid start, it would be absolutely ridiculous to pull him out of the rotation at this time. By the way, Michaelis and Fetty, their last 17 starts combined, you put them together, the Cardinals are 5-12. Now, not all of that is on them, but in a lot of those starts, they simply are defaulting, and the Cardinals are just buried early in games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to ask them to come back from that.
They should be 4-13. That Michaelis win that they got against Cleveland, that was one of those crazy 1% kind of wins.
Yeah, he got bailed out. I think it makes a lot. It sounds like the way the manager spoke about it. It sounds like the plan will eventually be McGreevy's filling in for Fetty.
It can't be filling in. He's here.
No, I mean stepping in, maybe the better way to put it. Stepping in. And I agree with both. I agree with you, Matt.
Sorry.
Like Fetty stays, because the way I would play it is buy Miles, see you later. As Bernie pointed out, it's been 2.5 years of a 5+ ERA. 2.5 years of being almost 20% below major league average. That's enough for a 36, 37-year-old guy. It's not coming back. There's no saving it. There's no salvaging it. You might get a run of 4 or 5 good starts, and it's going to be followed by 5 or 6 more like we've seen. So move on, bye, see ya. And then McGreevy takes the Fetty spot. Matt starts with Fetty there to follow until Matt builds up on innings, and you play it out from there. So if Fetty's outings are 3 innings, great. If it's 1, great. If Matt's is going 3 or 4, and as that extends, you can change it based on the circumstance and try something that you're not doing. And if that doesn't work, you can dip into the AAA guys because, again, it ain't going to be worse than the guy that's a bottom 5 starter.
And I think the Matt's repurposing and putting him back in the rotation, I think it's time. I was talking about this with Kevin and Dave Glover. Matt, since July 1st, since June the 1st, has got a 7.07 bullpen ERA.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowed runs in 4 of his last 5 appearances. And in those 5 appearances, He's got a 9 ERA, and he's allowed 4 home runs in 8 innings. So he, I don't, with all due respect to everybody out there, I don't want to hear about, well, he's so great in the bullpen. No, he's not. He was.
Yeah.
But again, it's a long season. Things change. I think he could pop back in that rotation and build up a little bit. And I think you've got a solution worth trying. There's no question it's worth trying.
Yeah.
And to moving on from Michael, the thing people need to realize, this is an industry thing. When you give a multi-year contract to a player where the contract is going to end when they're in the mid to late 30s, whether you sign them to a 10-year deal when they're 25 years old or a 3-year deal when they're 32 years old, there is a very good chance that that contract is going to end badly. Juan Soto's contract could look like crap at the end. Albert Pujols' contract looked terrible at the end. This is something that happens.
Yep.
And the industry is well aware of it. They know it when they make these decisions. So you as a team have to be willing to say, we gave a guy multi-years, Miklasz. It looks really bad at the end. It's time to just move on from it. This is the cost of doing business, that you give out some contracts where the back end of it look like trash.
The key is knowing that it's time to change.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're waiting for the All-Star break to institute changes or what, but the action should happen sooner. Because this right now, and we don't have time to get into it, maybe we'll save it for after the news, but this right now doesn't accomplish either potential goal. What they're doing now doesn't help build any runway for 2026, and it doesn't help you contend for 2025. Anything done right now should be for one of those two purposes. And if it's not serving one of those two, then don't do it. I mean, seems pretty simple. All right, we got to take a quick time out. We come back. We got a lot more to do. We're actually going to talk about J.J. Weatherholt moving to Memphis, where all of this sorts out when it comes to the trade deadline. Who can you move? Do you need to wait to the offseason? I don't know that we're going to solve this today, but these are just all these things. They're all tied to Weatherholt. So we got a lot to do. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Rita, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Jake from State Farm. I'm winning. I finally cleaned my house, so I'm breaking out my new tropical room spray.
Keep winning and create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It's like your own personal paradise.
Ooh, hey, grab me a coconut water.
Bundling, just another way to save with a personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting a community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. You can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
At 5:30, sunshine and 87 degrees downtown at the Arch. A truckload of supplies left a Dallas school bound for the Kerrville, Texas area, which was devastated by catastrophic flooding.
About 24 people loaded a truck and trailer here at Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in North Dallas.
Personal hygiene, so toothpaste and brushes and things like that. Lots and lots of cleaning supplies.
Liz Flexus says they had adults and students helping load things up.
Yesterday was an emotional day for the girls who were helping, because they had lived it and they knew friends at other schools that were down there.
The truck also contains a mobile kitchen to fix hot meals. Russell Scott for CBS News, Dallas.
The death toll from the catastrophic flooding in Texas over the weekend has surpassed 100. The number of deaths reached 104 as the massive search continues for missing people. After 3 large sinkholes opened up on St. Louis City roads in April, another one just surfaced.
Well, the sinkhole is quite large. In fact, you could probably park a small pickup truck inside of it if you were to back in gently. It's located on North Broadway near the North Riverfront, and right now, crews for the city are either working on it or at least in the area of it right now. There's another hole adjacent to it where city crews are working at the moment right now. It's unclear whether or not those 2 holes are related to one another. In North City, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Free mental health first aid training is taking place in Alton this month. The groundbreaking training will help participants identify and respond to someone who may be struggling and help them find the best support. OSF St. Anthony's Health Center offering the training on July 25th, including assessing the risk of suicide or harm, how to listen in a non-judgmental way and encourage appropriate help. OSF says 1 in 5 Americans has a mental illness. An average of 130 people die by suicide every day. For tonight, partly cloudy, low 72. For Tuesday, sunshine, humid, a few spot storms, 92. Tomorrow night, 73. For Wednesday, a few storms, some sun too, and a high of 90. Right now, we've got 87 downtown at the Arch. The feels like is 91. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Hey, Bernie Miklasz here on behalf of my friends at Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. Listen, the Saliga family has continuously owned this business since opening its doors in 1927 down there on Gravois. And they've taken care of multiple St. Louis family generations. And we're one of those families in St. Louis because we've been a Saliga house for about 16, 17 years. And I can share with you what we love about them and why we like them and we're so loyal to them because, man, it's hard to find honesty. It's hard to find not only honesty, but the combination of knowledge and professionalism and prompt service and somebody that's going to come into your home and they'll help you by suggesting cheaper solutions for your problem rather than going for the big score in terms of an expensive repair job or equipment. And man, does that give you peace of mind when you knowing that Saliga Heating and Cooling is there with nearly 100 years of doing this? Their credibility is just beyond reproach. And that's among the many reasons. Those are some of the reasons why we love them. And we will continue to rely on Saliga Heating and Cooling. And I know a lot of my friends and some of our neighbors feel the same way about Saliga. If you want to find out about their Priority Club, it's a maintenance program that will save you money by extending the life of your current equipment because these routine maintenance checks can catch a little problem before it becomes a very big and expensive problem. And it's not a big deal when they catch that little problem. If you want to find out more about that you also get priority scheduling and some other perks. If you want to find out more about the Priority Club. We're members of that. It is definitely worth it. Go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com or call 314-481-7333.
Check out the Terrace in Eureka for affordable senior living with 24-hour nursing supervision, delicious meals, medication management, and activities. The Terrace is affordable and will work with your Medicaid plan. Go to rspseniorliving.com and look for the Terrace Private Assisted Living.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
All right, Redbird Rush Hour. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here on a really busy Monday talking about the Cardinals. This brings us to today's Game Day Men's Health Peak Performer. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. All right, I know I did this maybe a week ago. I don't know, a little more than that. But I'm doing it again today because it ties us into the news of the day. Our peak performer is J.J. Weatherholt.
All right.
Getting the move from AA to AAA. He's obviously your number one pick from last year. I think I saw earlier today he's one of only 3 Cardinals drafted in the first round to reach AAA in the first calendar year of being a pro. We knew he was advanced, right? We knew, and you see it in his approach. He's a high on base, a 400 on base guy. He's got plenty of power, not so much like 35, 40 home run prodigious power, but I mean, he's on pace right now, I think, for 16 to 18 over a full season, like that type of power. And that's just with him in his first year. I think he's going to be a 20-plus guy at some point. But I think seeing him in Memphis, Bernie, is going to be a good thing. Not that he's going to be amazing and kill it. Maybe he will. Maybe it'll take some adjustment. But he had clearly mastered AA.
Yeah, I don't know what more he had to learn down there or prove down there. And you go to AAA, you're going to be encountering some more experienced pitchers that have been in the major leagues or on the cusp of being on the major leagues, and guys that are ready. They're right there. And I think it'll be a good experience for him. And you're right, he may have an adjustment period, but like you said, like we all agree, he'll adjust because he always has. And this young guy is supremely confident. I mean, there's nothing that's going to shake him. I mean, he just loves to hit, and that's what he does. And a question, just ask Matt Pauley and Wheels both, but and Matt, feel free obviously to throw in anything else you want about this. But in a perfect world, if the Cardinals would reach their optimum, if J.J. Weatherholt would reach his optimum, whatever that may be, who would he become for the Cardinals? And I'm referencing to a middle infielder with a left-handed bat that's got all the potential in the world. Who could he develop into if everything goes really, really well? I think I know one of your answers, Wheels, and you convinced me of it. Matt Paula, do you have any thoughts on that?
Don't you bring up Chase Utley all the time?
To me, that's his peak.
Yeah, that's
like peak Chase Utley could be peak. I mean, if Weatherholt reaches his ceiling, I think that's what it could be. I don't know that he could get to that, right? We never know exactly where a guy's going to get. He might run a little better than older Utley that we remember, but Utley, when he was young, ran well. So I think it's a fair skills comp for a lefty bat.
Yeah, not a lefty bat, so that's where it comes in. But even if Jeff Kent would be a
oh boy, if he's Jeff Kent, that'd be great.
I mean, Kent was generally a high 20s home run guy. Yeah. He had I think 33 was maybe his season high.
Yeah.
But he did it over a long time. So maybe that type of production is because I think we're going to see Weatherholt hit some home runs.
Yeah, I agree. I think low end to me is like upper teens, but I expect 20s at some point as he fills out and matures. And I would say maybe an easy way to look at it is he's Donovan with more slug. Because he's a similar guy in terms of he'll hit for average. He's going to draw his walks. He runs better than Donovan, and I think runs better than Donovan did when Donovan was younger as well. And I think there's just a little more upside for home run power. His swing is different than Donovan's. And he's always been like an elite hitter. He's always been this. I mean, you guys know before his hamstring injuries, he was being discussed as the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft. So that's not anything that we didn't know. I mean, if he hadn't had a hamstring injury, he's probably not a Cardinal right now.
And let me just throw a couple names out there, other names. And again, I was concentrating on left-handed hitting middle infielders. Can he have the kind of hitting profile of a Corey Seager with perhaps less home run power, but great all the way around?
Sure.
I watch a lot of Orioles games, not so much this year. Gunnar Henderson, the first overall pick a few years ago. Gunnar Henderson's a terrific left-handed hitter who hit leadoff. He can steal bases. He's got power.
Yep.
I mean, I could see Weatherholt approximating him if everything goes well. The dude down in Tampa, I never remember whether it's Lowe or Lau.
Brandon Lau. Yeah.
Brandon Lau is another guy. If you go look at his career numbers, I think I'd be pretty happy if JJ Weatherholt turns out to be that guy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting comps, and I think we're all confident, but I don't think we're like swallowing, any kind of hype or BS.
No. He could also be
legitimately good.
Yeah, he could also be Jake Cronenworth, right? He could be just a good, okay player. I mean, like we don't know for sure. We're just saying, if you're going to see a ceiling, this is a ceiling.
I think he can be better than Lau. Like I like Brandon Lau a lot, but I think Weatherholt's on the track.
He's more of a contact approach because Lau is a little more all or nothing, more strikeout.
Right. And going back, I don't think he's going to be an MVP. And obviously Kent was an MVP at one point. But just in terms of power from a second baseman, I think he's going to be in the high 20s. Yeah.
I would eventually expect that at some point as well. All right, real quick check of traffic. We'll tell you what's going on the roadways if you're driving around downtown St. Louis, actually just in the region. And we'll get back to this conversation about Weatherholt and how they're going to clear the path for him at some point. Not right now.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This traffic report's a service of Terrace Senior Living of Eureka. If you're heading out to Eureka, you still got a jam on westbound 44. It's still backed up west of Soccer Park to 141. We had a crash earlier eastbound at Antire, but they had westbound restrictions there as well. Eastbound 44 is getting better, but it's still backed up from the Merrimack River east of 109 through Lewis Road, and then after that, you're in better shape. That's the biggest delays we've got on the highways. Westbound 64 is just kind of busy. Kings Highway out to Big Bend, and approaching Prospect down the Wentzville area, not bad. Northbound 170, approaching Natural Bridge up to 70, slow in the work zone. South 170, no, not even a delay at Brentwood Boulevard. If you're looking at that, westbound 70 is a good run all the way from downtown out to Wentzville as well. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
All right, thank you, Roger. Let's pick up that conversation. So I don't want to get into who should they move out, like specifically. I want to go more theoretical because Weatherholt is a player you make room for when you think he's ready, right? Like that's the kind of player he is. So when it comes time for that, and it doesn't have to, we don't have to talk about this right now. This can be later this year, could be next year, whatever. When you're looking who to move out, do you guys care more about clearing out the weakest link or getting the best return for who you want to move out? Because both of those are valid approaches. They're both valid. Like you could say, hey, Donovan, Burley, they're good. We like them. But those guys probably bring you the most in return. So is it more about the return or is it more about keeping the best guys and replacing the weakest links?
I think it also has something to do with having replacements available. If you move on from a certain player who's a really, really good player, but you've got another really good player to put in that exact same spot, it's easier to move on from that high-level player than maybe somebody else who plays a position that you don't have an immediate fill-in for.
And to Matt Pauley's theory or his opinion, I would offer a potential example of this. Nathan Church is a left-handed hitting outfielder, and Nathan Church is rising fast through the system.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good. He's tearing it up in Memphis. I think the Cardinals are really in love with this guy. And he's got a bat. He hits.
Yeah.
He's not an all-or-nothing guy. He knows how to work it. He can also play center field. So if you're the Cardinals, you take a look at Lars Nootbaar. And Lars Nootbaar's got 2 more years of arbitration, then he becomes a free agent. And Lars Nootbaar's already into the bigger money part of his career. And Lars Nootbaar just sort of is the same guy every year. He hasn't grown, even though he's a StatCast god and all that. I like him, but my point is, it's pretty much the same thing every year. He's having his worst year this year. Is that a guy you move knowing you could get a really good return for him and knowing that depending on how they really feel about Nathan Church, they may have a replacement lined up?
Yeah. It is about the return, and with his time schedule, it may be a little less about that and more about clearing runway, right? Like clearing playing time for players that you'd like to get a better look at. And that's kind of like nobody wants to trade someone like Brendan Donovan, but he gets you a great return. You want to fix your pitching, get some arms in there, a starter and a couple relievers or something. That's probably your most valuable guy, but he's also valuable to your team. Like he's a leader. He's a guy that you know what you're going to get every year. He can play 5-6 positions. So that's kind of it. They're going to be making hard decisions. I would definitely look at any good return for someone like Nootbaar because, as you point out, Bern, you've got a lot of guys that you could move Weatherhold out there for all we know, or he could play second and Donovan can play left field. Like, you got all kinds of great options in that regard.
Yeah, they have thought so highly of Nathan Church that he's played in three levels in the same season.
Yeah.
He started out at Palm Beach. He went to Springfield for 29 games. Now he's in Memphis. And the thing about it, each stop he's gotten better and better rather than leveling off. I mean, this dude in Memphis, the first 25 games, and I know it's only 25, 356 average, 436 on base, 574 slug.
Yeah.
And he'll steal a couple bases for you. So I'm not saying he's going to be that guy, but
No.
I'm just trying to fit the scenario.
100%.
If you have a guy you like and he can take over a position, who do you have a value that you could move to help your team in other areas?
Yeah.
I would say I would nominate Lars Nootbaar as a candidate.
Yeah.
For that.
Isn't it amazing how much things can change in a very short amount of time? I've told this story.
Yeah.
Craig Mish, who covers the Marlins, told me 2 years ago that if the Cardinals would have been willing to trade Lars Nootbaar, they could have had any pitcher on the Marlins staff, basically. And that's going back 2 years where the Marlins had tons and tons of really solid pitching. And at that point in time, there was no scenario in the world where the Cardinals were going to trade Lars Nootbaar. And now the three of us here can sit here and talk about the idea of trading Lars Nootbaar. And it's like, yeah, you could do that. And we're well aware of the fact that the return for Nootbaar now would be nothing compared to what you would have gone for him 2 years ago.
No, that's the hard thing about deciding this, right? Because I think if you play the odds, most prospects aren't going to live up to hype. Just odds. It's not really anything wrong with evaluation. You just don't know who's going to make it. If you knew, you'd be winning every year because you'd have all the good players. But then you have the other side of it is when they do go somewhere else and they're great, you feel like an idiot, even if you got a decent return on it. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge to see that. I will say they're going to have to find a way to leverage all of their catching depth too, because they're not going to have room for it all, and it's coming fast. Bernal's coming fast. Crooks is already at Memphis. You got two guys here you like, not even counting Herrera. So they probably have to find a way to leverage some of that with a team that needs some catching too, and there are plenty of teams that are going to need some of that. All right, we got one more segment to do. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here, and of course, Sports Open Line coming up after the 6 o'clock news. I want to tell you right now about Game Day Men's Health. They're obviously a great sponsor here on the Redbird Rush Hour. You can find them at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. And my advice to you is, if you don't feel the way you want to, don't just accept it. And look, I'm not saying supplant any of your normal doctor visits or anything. Like if you go to, if you're like me, you go to get your annual checkup, you follow up with your doctors, you stay on top of things, but you still just don't feel the way you want to. Well, I took action. I went to Game Day Men's Health. I did the initial consultation, did a blood test, and found out testosterone was low. Well, they have solutions for that. It's called TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. I've been doing that for 4 months, and I feel the difference every single day. I feel it in the weight room. I feel it walking around work. I feel it on the weekends when I'm coaching. I feel it every day. I feel like I did 10, 12 years ago. And it's because my numbers are where they were 10 or 12 years ago. It's not that difficult to figure out. Whether that's the path for you, or maybe you're looking at medical weight loss. They have all kinds of great ideas in terms of peptides, how they can help you maximize performance and how you feel. ED treatments, if that's the area you're looking for. Everything overseen by board-certified physicians. The staff are trained experts. They're awesome. They know exactly what they're doing. You get one price explained up front. That's it. So any adjustments to medications, any consultations, all that's included in that one price. It doesn't get any easier, and they've got solutions for you. 3 area locations. I go to the Chesterfield and the O'Fallon, Missouri locations. You can find out more at GameDayMen'sHealth.com and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Just dial pound 250 on your phone and say the keyword windows. That's pound 250 keyword windows, or head to rbastl.com.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler for 213 Complex, which is available at supplement superstores. Look, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed, and here's why. It optimizes thyroid function, and it boosts your metabolism 24 hours a day, while you're sleeping too. So you're burning more stored body fat. Also getting that appetite and craving control that I love. You get all-day focused energy with no jitters, so all you need to do is get out to supplement superstores, tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They'll knock 30% off 213 Complex. Find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We're doing better on 44 westbound. I'd still call it slow, though, west of Soccer Park to west of 141. The eastbound side's pretty well thinned out. There's another little heavy stretch just past 109, but that's all slow, not jammed any longer, so that's good news. Southbound 270 is cleared out. Southbound 55 is cleared out. Westbound 64, Clayton Skink Road to Big Bend, still busy, but it looks great in the Wentzville area. So is westbound 70. Northbound 170, just a little slow at Natural Bridge. South 170, just busy at the U Club Tower. Lewis and Clark at St. Cyr, we have an injury crash. Look for some lane restrictions there. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Who's that?
Still Lincoln Park, man. We're getting a little bit of the anger out today on the Redbird.
Come on,
Rush
man.
Hour.
Hey, you got to load up some Papa Roach for Pauley.
Oh, we'll do that tomorrow. Okay. We get some Papa Roach for Matt. Wait, I gave Matt the choice to choose today, and he decided he didn't have any choices. So.
I'm tired.
You picked 9 Inch Nails a week ago or so, and did a good job with
Which
that.
Which isn't really my current brand of music,
No.
but back in the day, like High School Matt,
Flashback,
that was me. Yeah,
High School Matt. There you go.
There you go.
All right, so last couple things here. We don't have a ton of time, but obviously, we're continuing that conversation. We've gone from the pitching to J.J. Weatherholt because that's a much more fun conversation. Bernie, you texted me, I think, an interesting name. He's not a lefty, but as a righty, Trey Turner's bat is a really interesting. Yeah. Now, again, I think Weatherholt is more of an on-base guy than Trey Turner, and he doesn't have the 70, 75, 80 speed that you have in Turner. But just think about the total numbers. The OPS, the possibility for power, and the high average. I think, Bernie, I think that's a possibility. That's the kind of guy you're hoping for when you're talking about a number 7 pick.
And I was looking at Trey Turner in terms of where he started and his progression through his career.
Yeah.
And those numbers are very reachable. I mean, they're terrific numbers. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But it's not like, oh, well, this guy could, hit like Albert Pujols in his first 11 seasons. In other words, I'm offering Trey Turner as a comp only because I think his numbers are approachable for somebody like Weatherholt. Right. It's not unrealistic.
Agreed.
I'm mad at you, Bernie. I wish I would have come up with that one. That's if I had it all again, I would not have said what I said with Kent and go. Trey Turner's perfect. That's the route. That's the route that I was trying to go down when I was thinking of guys. So well done, Bernie.
So JJ's a good runner, right? Like he's a 60 on the scouting scale, which is well above average. Turner's an 80, but that doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ability to put up offensive numbers, not steals in this particular case. And that's why you can see there's a wide range of potential comps, which is why he's exciting. And again, there's an argument to be made that his floor would be he's just an okay average major league player. I think that's his floor. He's an average guy. 720 OPS, can play good defense, run the bases. I think that's his floor, but his ceiling is, for a guy that high, the ceiling is you want to be an all-star. Mm-hmm. You hope the guy can be an all-star.
Where do you two brothers think that? Where do you think he's going to end up? And I know it's a very hard question to answer because the Cardinals have so many moving pieces. But second base is natural, but everyone insists he could play shortstop. He could play third base. I don't know whether they'll give him tell him to take some time in the outfield. Probably not right now, but I don't know where he'll end up, but again, I think that's something to worry about on a different day down the road.
Yeah. It's fascinating to talk about, but I agree. It's definitely something they have time to decide.
I think you guys are actually going to disagree with me here because, when you have these high-level guys, you get them to their position and you leave them there. When Mason Wynn didn't futz around at third and second in the out, no, he got there and he was a shortstop. When you identify players as core players, get them to their position, do whatever the heck you need to do to make it happen. I don't care, but get them to their position and leave them there.
Yeah. To me, long term, he's a second baseman because of the arm. The arm's just average. And I think if I'm going to look longer term, like if I'm thinking, next year and beyond, I think Gorman plays better at third, where Weatherholt is a more natural, fluid athlete in the middle infield as a second baseman. He's played second and third. He did play third in college a little bit. But if you can play short, you can play second. And I'm comfortable if I'm keeping Donovan of playing Donovan in left field. He's perfectly good out there. Yeah. He's a good enough bat to be out there. So makes it, to me, that second just seems to make the most sense.
It does, the way you laid it out there, because I agree with you. It's at some point Gorman will be their third baseman. So, and that's where he belongs. Yeah. And Gorman looks really, really good. I mean, he's changed so many things that have made him a better hitter. And I don't think this is a fluke thing. I think he finally gets it. So we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell.
We definitely will, and we'll be here to talk about it. Well, you guys will be talking about this stuff again coming up in a little bit, right? What time is it?
6:20 we'll get Bernie back on. So go take a water break, Bernie.
All right. Bernie, thanks for doing this. We'll talk to you later on. Bernie and Matt will be coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. Obviously, Matt's got you covered 6 until 8 on Sports Open Line. We got Cardinals baseball back tomorrow. They'll play the Nationals for 3, and then the Braves for 3, and then it's the All-Star break. So that's all coming up, and Sports Open Line next on KMOX.
Hey, St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board certified